Good morning to you. Happy Sunday. Have you ever found yourself lying in bed in the middle of the night trying to sleep? You couldn't sleep, so you started counting sheep, or you did your best not to think about things at work or any upcoming projects. So you just diverted your attention to the fact that you can't sleep and you started counting sheep. Or how many of you have been flying on an airplane, probably not much lately, but when you did and all of a sudden it encountered turbulence or the flight was just like god awful long, you found yourself turning to videos and watching little movies that the plane supplies that you would never watch in a million years if you were on the ground, but because you're in that darn plane, you're watching videos or playing video games or trying to read a book or trying to get some work done. And how many of you have listened to music, turning the dial all the time because you're stuck in traffic? Yeah, I just remember it many times in the military. We'd have these very hard projects or these hard, physically demanding tasks to do. And the instructors would tell us all the time, it's mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter. So yeah, it's just a little bitty thing. That's what they'd say, just a tiny little thing, just get it done. And that was always a process in which we would consciously shift our focus on something other than the thing that's occurring right at this time. And that's known as cognitive shifting. Cognitive shifting is the mental process of redirecting one's attention from one fixation to another. And that's really required to get through this day and time, to get through life with all the scary things and mundane things and just dreaded things. Being in a dentist chair, God, you're thinking, man, I've been here my whole life. When is this thing going to end? And you just find yourself trying to go to your happy place, just trying to go anywhere other than remaining in that chair. It's called daydreaming. It is called just making an effort to try and focus on anything and everything that is currently happening right that moment, just so you can deal with it. Animals are made to do it. We don't have any evidence that they purposely do this like we do. I'm not even sure if they're aware of the fact that they can do that. But we use it and have been using it for many, many years to help animals overcome situations that could be dreaded or very fearful for them. I remember being back in the Navy. I trained marine mammals, and every 6 months, these big old dolphins that I worked with would have to undergo a physical. And this was quite scary and quite arduous for the animal. It just was a really dreaded day for all of us, probably for the marine mammal, because they could tell what was going on. They knew when certain stretchers and certain equipment and certain people were starting to come around their pens. They just look up out of the water. They're incredibly intelligent and go, oh, no, you got to be kidding me. It is not physical day to day, is it? Because what would happen is that the marine mammal would be hoisted up out of the water, placed onto the deck at that time. This is in the 1980s, by the way. I'm sure a lot of procedures have changed. In fact, I know for a fact one has changed because I made that change happen. The animals would be lying on the deck, and then you'd have about 6 guys. And these 6 guys would draw straws. And they would draw straws for what reason? Well, to see who got to hold the fluke here, or known as the tail, and who got to hold the front end of the dolphin. Because what was going to happen was this dolphin was going to have blood drawn right here where I have this red arrow, right here at the apex of the fluke. It is where blood would be drawn. And so you'd have about 1 guy holding the tail for dear life so they don't get smacked in the head when you get a broken nose, broken jaw, broken collarbone. These are 300-400 pound solid muscle creatures. And then you got someone up at the front holding the rostrum with a towel usually wrapped around it so they're not bitten. And then you got about 4 other people laying on top of this animal because they did not want to have their blood drawn. And so again, you drew straws to see, make sure you were never on either end of this animal. And after doing this for a couple of years and watching them draw blood and sometimes not having any success, because the unique thing about a dolphin is when they dive to deeper depths, they can systematically shut off blood flow to areas that are just not needed at that moment. So instead, the blood is just really going from the heart to the lungs and to the brain. Everything else, shut those kidneys off, shut that pancreas off right now, shut everything down, keep all this vital oxygen and blood flow to the areas that I need it the most. So what the consequence for that was this. When you stress that animal out, and you want to start poking a needle in this little area right here where there's typically a great amount of blood flow. You ever see dogs with fleas and notice the fleas hang around the base of the tail? There's a reason for it. One, tons of blood flow. Two, that's probably the most defenseless area on your entire dog. Fleas get it. Well, this animal, whenever you start poking a needle into it, that little area, you might as well just turn it into a cork. That's what it was. There would be no blood flow. And because you couldn't draw the blood, well, then you just have to keep trying over and over and over again. So all of a sudden, one physical day that comes around twice a year suddenly comes around a dozen times a year so that you can get the blood from this animal and make sure they have good health. Well, I got fed up with that. I was done with it. And so at that time, I would go in after work, come in on the weekends, holidays. I did anything that I could and spend as much time as my free time as I could to work with a particular dolphin named Cherry. That was her name. And she was a real sweetheart. And I taught her to do what's called a tail present. That's where you just hold your tail up out of the water like this. And it takes a conscious effort for a dolphin to do that. They have to use their pectorals to kind of swirl the water, kind of like someone treading water, to hold that tail up and buoy themselves. And I did that. And then after I got that done, lots of rewards, I would start to just kind of thump that area right there, just with my finger, just thump it, just give it a little pop on there with my finger. And then reward her. And then after a while, I'm actually pinching that area. And then I reward. And then after I even got a rubber band and popped it, just to give a little sting to it, and rewarded her. And this took almost a year. Almost a year. And I worked it every day that I could. But after a year, physical time, she did a tail present, needle went in, blood came out, done just like that. So that was something that was adopted at that time and was now being formulated and worked on by Naval Ocean Systems Commands so they take the stress off of the animal and not have to undergo that drawing straws and 6 guys laying on top of you to hold you down. Everything in this world, you hear me harp on it all the time, stress. I just can't say enough about it. The more you learn about it, the more we are learning through neuroscience, through many studies, tons of research. We're learning its harmful effects on our emotions, on our psyche, and the same thing certainly goes for our dogs, having to live in a world in which they really can't understand fully, and they cannot rely fully upon the natural instincts and mechanisms that guide them in their world. So cognitive shifting is something that should be practiced anytime you have a dog that it has to deal with a fearful event. I'm going to show you another little video here real quick if I can, so hang in there with me. Just let me pull it up here real fast on my iPad. And this was a video shot just this morning of our Morkie, Dave. And Dave, let me just hit the pause button on it real quick here. Okay, guys, you know me, I'm not real super technical savvy here. Let me just back it up a little bit here. Okay, all right, so here we go. Hey, pause. Turn it around. Face it so you guys can see this thing on the camera. Probably get a better look if I hold it this way here. Okay, so this is Dave. Right there, little black dog. He's a Morkie, 9 years old. Maltese Yorkie mix. You heard me mention him many times. His name is Dave, a.k.a. Chicken, for a lot of reasons, because he is a little bit afraid of many things. We also call him Pigpen, because he'll roll in anything that is the nastiest stuff he can find. He is all in it. So just a lovable little guy. Well, he got an ear infection. And, you know, again, you don't get the nickname Chicken for nothing. Yeah, so therefore, he really didn't take too kindly to having eardrops put in his ears. So, man, we know this much. Dude loves peanut butter. I think he would sell his Morkie soul for peanut butter. All right. We're smarter, not harder. Here we go. Cognitive shifting. So he will have to make a conscious redirect of his focus on the ear medicine to the peanut butter. Let's see if we got any results here. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and hit the play button. I think it's up here somewhere. And there we go. So he's licking peanut butter off of a spoon. And you can see Poe in the background, the little black and white Morkie. She's thinking, Dang, I wish I had an ear infection. Give me an ear infection. I want some of that peanut butter. But you see, Kira's able to put the medicine in, the massage ear, the way the instructions say to do. And he's just going to town on that peanut butter. Just going. Working it. There we go. Pretty awesome. I'm telling you what, this was, I think, day number 3 or 4. Don't quote me on that. For the peanut butter. I mean, not for the peanut butter. I'm sorry, for the eardrops. And today was peanut butter day. And that went a whole lot better than any other day. And I'm sure a lot of you have probably seen some of the YouTube videos. The funny one of the lady putting cellophane around her forehead and a big gob of peanut butter up there, and her dog's licking it off while she's doing nail trims. Now me, that's definitely cognitive shifting, but it's definitely far more riskier. So I'm not so sure I'm going to be recommending for you guys to do that, because that's one of those situations in which you have initial success or total failure. I mean, that dog at one moment decides, okay, forget peanut butter, that hurts, chomp, right here on your face. Maybe I tried the spoon thing right there, have the head over there, paws over here. At least I can get a little distance away, and if I do get bitten, it's probably going to be on my hand versus my face. But that is cognitive shifting. And we see it a lot. We see peanut butter being used now in a lot of veterinary hospitals to give vaccinations. We see peanut butter being used to give nail trims, ear medicine, just like we did with Dave. I've used the ball. Captain loves the ball. You've seen that. I've used that ball to get him over gunfire. Yeah, there for a while there where we were hanging out and doing a lot of stuff, there was people just taking either shots or duck hunters, and he was really worried about that. And then on one particular occasion, we used to go for early in the morning. I mean, way dark in the morning, 4:30, and we're going for a run, and there was a rooster. And I don't know where this rooster came from, but it came out of the middle of nowhere. It was a wild rooster. And along the trail, he just started doing his cockle-doodle-doo. And I'm thinking, okay, first of all, rooster, it's like 2 hours before the sun comes up, so you're a little off on your time. You need to get your time zones right. But man, that freaked Captain out. It did. That rooster flat out freaked him out. So, of course, here we go. How can we get over this? How can we get through some cognitive shifting here? Well, literally, you could set a watch on that darn rooster. We'd run down there, the rooster would go cock-a-doodle-doo, and I'm throwing the ball right then and there. Throwing the ball right then and there. Throwing the ball right then and there. And what was so cool is that within about 3 days, kid you not, cock-a-doodle-doo. And as soon as he did that, Captain looked at me like, where's the ball? Yeah, look at me, where's the ball? And then it even grew from that. When we got close to that one section of the trail, in which we would always encounter the rooster, he's already looking for the ball. So forget the rooster that he was terrified of. He wanted the ball. So we do that as well. In an upcoming video, I'm going to show you a training solution in which dogs are actually taught to put their heads down in a box, and eat food or treats or kibble or peanut butter or cheese, whatever the dog likes a lot. Put their head in a box. And while the dog's head is in the box, they're given the vaccinations. They can turn on a blower. All of these things, it's really cool. And we've got many of these to show you in upcoming videos of how cognitive shifting, how well it works. I mean, again, we humans, we do it all the time. We give ourselves biofeedback all the time. And when we get in that, we're scared or we're uptight about something, man, you're shifting. You're shifting. You're trying to accomplish something else. You got that goal, but you're shifting away from it. And hopefully you can get through that task or whatever it is. So guys, that's known as cognitive shifting. Do me a favor, when you feel yourself doing that to yourself at any given point, whether it be while you're sleeping, in traffic, or you're undergoing the dentist or something that you just dread, write it down, send it to me, because there's so many examples of it. But at the end of the day, I want you to think about using cognitive shifting to help your dog overcome many fearful events. Again, just another tool. There's many tools that we use. I just love having lots of tools in my tool bag. Try anything and everything. Lower the stress, lower your blood pressure, stay healthy, stay safe. And you know what? Have a higher quality of life. That's what it's all about. Cognitive shifting. Okay, guys, I'm going to make a conscious effort to shift to another task. Not that I don't like you guys, but I know you got stuff to do, and so do I. Cognitive shifting. Check it out. See you tomorrow. I think I'm going to finish.